Good evening, Zach. Welcome. Oh, come on. Don't tell me I've got one of the wrong shirts on again. Yeah, seems like it. Seems like I've got one of those shirts on that I can't actually see what's going on. So give me a few seconds. Let me go and get a different shirt, okay? Let's try again. Okay, let's try again. How's it, folks? Good evening. Sorry, I had a shirt on that just doesn't reflect lacquer, so that's it. Good evening and welcome to Thursday evening Q&A. I am looking forward to your questions, and tonight is the first time that I can actually confirm that I've had a whiskey before this thing started, so tonight I might just be a bit more jolly. Any case, any questions, any financial questions, let me see if I can help you. I will try my absolute best. While I'm talking to you, I'm just saving one or two things on my laptop. Let's see. Leander, Kanye, Mpele. Lots of people joining, no questions yet. Not that I can see in any case. No. Nothing I can see so far. So yeah, whoever asks the first question, let's see what we can answer. Let's see if we can answer it. That's the thing. Good evening to IT, Chipo. Yeah, there's lots of people joining. And I'm sure you don't just want to look at me all night. So let's go with a couple of questions. Whoever's ready, let's go with it. BJ Griep 27, interesting name. Kuja, Neo, welcome everybody. All the love to you as well. Thank you very much. Hello, Kitty. Nice to see you. Marius, welcome. Good evening, everybody. There we go. I think we've just got our first question here tonight. Let's see. Rian says, is the money in my PPS profit sharing account tax-free if I withdraw it? So Rian, I know exactly what you're talking about with regards to PPS, because PPS has a wonderful scheme. I think they came up with this revolutionary idea many years ago about doing a retirement annuity for professionals with bonuses and everything that's paid, that's attached to it. Now, my honest opinion is I don't know about the profit sharing. I really can't tell you whether it will be tax-free or not tax-free. But my common sense says to me, based on what I know about PPS profit sharing, is that it is going to be part of your retirement annuity. And because it's part of retirement annuity, it will be taxable on the same principle as what your retirement annuity is taxable, meaning that your 1/3 you can take, and then you will get your 550,000 tax-free, and then the sliding scale for the rest of it. And then the income will be taxable based on how much that income is. That is how I understand PPF's profit sharing. As much as it is not your retirement annuity, it is basically like a bonus that's paid onto the retirement annuity that just increases the value of the retirement annuity, and therefore when you exercise the option, it will be taxed in the same vein. Okay, Rian, I hope it helps, and if I'm wrong, I do apologize. I will gladly rectify myself. Let's see who's next. Yeah. Hold on a second. Let's see. Okay. Enlightened Spirit, where can I get best interest if I invest 2.5 million? This is from Paul Wheeler. Enlightened Spirit via Paul Wheeler. Where can I get the best interest on 2.5 million? I really don't know. The only way for you to determine where you can get the best interest is you literally have to go to every bank site and then put in that 2.5 million into their search engine, so to speak, and say, listen, I want to invest this 2.5 million for 6 months, 12 months, 24, 36, 50 months, 60 months, whatever the case might be, and then compare them all to each other. That's the best way to go and figure it out, because remember that the 2.5 million that you have, it is the interest that you will earn will determine on how long you put it in. So for somebody that puts their 2.5 million into a 30-day call account, they might get an interest rate of say 7.6%. But the person that's willing to put the same amount in for 5 years, they will get 9.6%. So it's very much dependent on not only you investing that amount of money, but also how long you invest that amount of money. And then the other thing, of course, is that once you start speaking to the various banks about this interest rate, depending on how desperate they are to have the investment placed with that, they will reduce fees, they will extend you in terms of the interest rate, etc., etc. So where you can get the best interest, I cannot honestly tell you, because every bank is going to offer you a different promise, guarantee, whatever the case might be. My personal opinion is, if you've got 2.5 million and you want to invest it, you want to get good growth, don't stare yourself blind against the guarantees and the interest rate you're going to get. Depending on how long you can invest the money for, go for something that's going to give you real growth depending on the time or the investment period that you have, okay? And then you will be making use of an investment that is not guaranteed, but will potentially give you substantially higher growth. Would you recommend RSA bond over tax-free savings, and why if yes? No, I will not recommend RSA bond over tax-free savings. As a matter of fact, I don't like bonds. I think bonds are absolutely crappy. A bond is an interest-bearing investment that has to be taxed. A tax-free savings account can be invested in various portfolios. Now, if you make use of the tax-free savings account where you just invested at the bank, where the bank says to you, I'll give you 4% up to the point where you get to 50,000, then I'll give you 5%. When you get to 100,000, I'll give 6%. That's just as crappy, sorry to say. So in terms of a tax-free investment, go and find a tax-free investment in a portfolio, a unit trust, whatever, that can give you 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 or 12% return on investment. And put your money in there. Tax-free versus RSA bond, both pretty crappy. Won't invest in either of them if it was me. Sorry to say, that's just the way I feel about it. Let's see who's next. Wow, there's so many that I'm trying not to skip. I don't want to skip you guys. Sorry folks, I have to run up and down my little screen here. Let's see what's next year. Okay, Grip says, would you have crypto investments as part of your diversified investment portfolio? Grip, yes, I will. If my portfolio is strong enough and I have enough guts and enough, what can I call it, gusto to go for it, yes, then I will make crypto a part of my investment. I will not make crypto the biggest part of my investment, make no mistake. Crypto for me is like alternative investments. If I have the capital, if I have the investment, if I have the means, I will put a portion in there, and if it comes off, it comes off, and I'll be very happy. If it doesn't come off, I'll lose it, I accept it. That's basically the way that I see crypto and alternative investments. I will incorporate it into my own portfolio, but it all depends on how strong my portfolio is, how strong I am as a human being in terms of my capital invested. Some people can afford to put it in there, some people can't. And it's a very delicate balance. It's very difficult to determine who can and who can't. But that all comes down to the planning. Some people don't have a choice and they really go into this because they need to invest there in order to try and make up for their shortfalls. Other people just use it because, I've got so much cash, I can do it. So crypto, yes, I like crypto. It's very volatile. It's very difficult to predict. It is one of those investment things that makes me absolutely scared. But at the same time, it gives me a feeling of exuberance. I want to do it just to be part of it. But like I say, I will do it very, very informed and educated based on what I can and cannot afford to lose or invest. I don't know if that makes sense, but I hope it does. Sorry, Grip. It's it's one of those things that in our lives as financial advisors, it very often happens that we want to give people advice, but it's so difficult to just give a straightforward answer. You have to give I almost want to say a grey answer to try and explain what you want to explain. I would love to tell people, listen, yeah, just put your money there and that's what's going to happen. That's how it's going to grow. It's over and done with. But the investment market is the same as everything else in life. Nothing is 100% certain. It's always very difficult to get to the point where you can give somebody some solid advice. Boop, this is what you're going to get. This is how it's going to be. It's very often very difficult to do that because there's so many other factors that has an influence. And you as the person is one of the big factors, the big influences, because either you can take risk or you can't take risk. And you yourself don't even know where you fit into that spectrum. And that is part of my duty as a financial advisor, is to try and determine how much risk you can take or not take. Whether you are one of those people that can take risk or not take risk. And that's what makes it so intriguing, so difficult. But that's also what makes it so interesting and so exhilarating. Okay, let's go. Chaotic. Please advise if you dipped into the two-part system, does this then not allow tax-free 555? No. So if you have dipped into the two-part system, it does not affect the 550,000 tax-free that you can get at retirement. You can still get your 550,000 Rand tax-free at retirement. But what you have done, unfortunately, this is the bad part about it. You've withdrawn money out of your pension fund on which you have paid tax from Rand 1. So you've paid tax on money that would potentially have been tax-free at retirement. And now that you've paid the tax on it, Now you've lost that tax that you paid on that money. You don't have that money in your investment anymore, so it cannot grow anymore. So you lose out on the compound growth, etc., etc. So you've just shot yourself in the foot by taking the money out. You have not shot yourself in the foot in terms of what you can get tax-free, but you have shot yourself in the foot in terms of the growth that you would have earned. So that's the bad part for you. Let's see. He asked a question first. I just reposted this question. Okay, sorry, I missed that. Sorry. Let's see what we come up with next year. MKM says, where do you get 10 to 12% interest? You don't. It's as easy as that. You do not get 10 to 12% interest. There is no bank that's going to offer you 10 to 12% interest. And that is why we don't make use of investments that invest in interest-bearing vehicles. We make use of investments that look at growth, because there is absolutely no investment that gives you 10 to 12%. But there are portfolios, there are investments that can give you 10 to 12% or even higher. Yes, it is higher risk, and that's the difference. Because remember, when you take interest, you are with something like a bank investment where they kind of guarantee you a certain interest rate. But when you are in an investment, you are in a portfolio where they guarantee you no definite return, but you have potentially a growth rate that is 10 or 12%. So no, there is no investment that gives you 10 to 12%, but there are plenty of portfolios that gives you 10 to 12%. You must just be willing to go with the risk that's associated. And folks, this is the bottom line. If you've got 5 to 7 years or longer to invest, okay, you can take a risk. You can take plenty of risk. You can take major risk. Yeah, let me just stop there. I am looking and searching to see if I can find another one. What is a general good savings account, small savings? Well, I would say any bank account. Sorry, M. I would say any bank account, any bank savings account is a good one, because if it's small money, it's small growth. It's not really the growth that you're after, it's more the protection, knowing that the money is available. So that's it. Any savings account. BNC says, then when do you pay taxes on these investments, interest rates, monthly? BNC, your tax paid on investments depends on the type of investments that you have. Retirement annuities, the contributions that you make is tax-free. You get tax rebates on it. The growth that you get is tax-free. It's only when you go into retirement that there's a tax implication on 1/3 and on the income. Unit trust investments, you pay tax when you withdraw the money based on the capital gains tax implication in your hands, so you have to pay it other. Endowments, you don't pay tax because the portfolio manager sorts out the tax in the portfolio. So when you withdraw the money, it's already tax-free or after-tax money. So it all depends on the type of investment that you take, when and what taxes are applied. There we go. I hope it helps, but which Tough Love says, which tax-free savings account would be best? I was thinking Alan Gray, but still uneducated. So this is my opinion. Any tax-free savings investment is good. Okay, because remember, the money that you put in there and the growth that you get is tax-free. So all of them are good. It doesn't matter whether you get a 5% return on investment or a 15% return on investment, it's all tax-free. That's good. Okay. But my opinion would be not to make use of a bank savings account and get a 5 or 6 or 7% return. That is kind of worthless. Go and find a tax-free investment with an insurance house, an investment house, whatever, and make use of the maximum risk in that portfolio to try and get 10, 12, 14, 16% return on investment. I mean, it is tax-free. So go and push for the biggest and the hardest and the best you can get, especially if you've got time. If you know that you're not going to pay tax on it, man, then try and get the best possible results. So go balls to the wall. Remember one thing with regards to tax-free investments, whether it's a savings account or an investment, whatever the case might be. People want to do it because I'm getting a tax-free return. But a tax-free return means nothing, zero, zilch, if you invest and you withdraw the money within a year or 2 or 3 or 4 years. A tax-free investment only makes sense if you put your money in and you leave it for a long time. For that 15 years that it builds up to get the full 500,000 in there or longer. That is the only time when a tax-free investment actually makes sense. So if you're going to use it right and you are going to make use of a tax-free investment to get that return over that long period of time, then go balls to the wall. Go aggressive. Put your money into very aggressive funds. That's all I can tell you. Okay. Let's see who's next. Would you rather... Whoa, now I have... Oh, folks, now I don't know what I've done. Sorry, it's going to take me a second to figure out what I've done here. Sorry, folks. Just hang tight. I'm trying to find where I was lost. And I honestly don't know if I'm at the right place, but I'm going to try my best. So let's go with it. The next question I can see is, where do you get in 12% interest? You do not get in 12% interest. Okay, I think I've mentioned that. It's over and done with. You can't. It's not available. Okay, we've been through that one. Then when do you pay taxes on these investments? Okay, I think I've answered that one. Which tax return? Okay, we've answered that one. Okay, now I know where the hell I am. I do apologize. This was not part of the exercise. Maybe I should get somebody to manage this while I'm talking to you. That will make life a bit easier. Webster, hi Kone. If you had 10K or 20K that's lying around, would you consider buying a trading bot? Not the hell. Webster, not at all, mate. With all due respect to trading bots and everybody talking about, no. I will not even consider it. I'd rather put my 10 or 20K into a savings account that gives me 4% and accept that I'm doing worse than inflation, but I will not consider a trading bot. No, that's crap, but that's crap. Thank you, Webster. And yeah, just by the way, I've seen Webster on a couple of occasions, so we can talk like that. I suppose that was that. Okay, Mbalisto says, how is Alan Gray works? What is the advantages of saving money to... Oh, okay. So, Mbalisto, when you want to save money to Alan Gray is an investment house. They've got their own portfolios and you can invest your money with them. And with Alan Gray, you've got numerous types of investments that you can make use of. Retirement annuities, life investment, LISP investments, portfolios of theirs, other companies' portfolios, etc., etc. So it doesn't really matter that it is Alan Gray. It could have been Coronation, it could have been Marriott, it could have been 91, it could have been Old Mutual, it could have been Sanlam. The most important thing is that you have to start investing. Yes, there are benefits for certain people to investing in retirement annuities rather than endowments. And there's benefits for certain people to invest in unit trusts rather than retirement annuity. So there's always certain benefits for certain people depending on their tax rates, their tax brackets, the amount of risk they can take, whether it is better to be in a retirement annuity than a unit trust or a unit trust and endowment. There's all these benefits that can be considered. But at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter what these benefits are. The most important thing is that you have to invest. So when it becomes important is that when you as the person sits down with somebody and they do the calculations and they do the analysis for you and they determine which is the best investment. All they are doing is they're saying, okay, well, by making use of this investment rather than that investment, we are saving you a bit of tax and we're getting you a bit more growth. So at the end of the day, because I've worked out a specific, strategy for you, because I've put you into the right investments versus the other person that hasn't got the right investment, I'm most probably getting you a better 1 or 2% return on your investment over a period of time. So that is where the planning comes in. I can get you that extra 1 or 2% because I have helped you with the right product structure. Where the person that did not do the planning is still getting growth, they're just getting a bit less because they're not in the right product structure. And that's all it's about. At the end of the day, the most important thing is invest, 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 invest. And if you're willing to pay for some advice, either somebody sends you an invoice or you pay from your investment, if you're willing to do that, then you get the best investment structure. And then you smile because you make an extra 1% per year on the person who is not doing the planning. And this means, easy as this, let's say you start investing at the age of 30 and you invest until the age of 60 because you've used somebody that helps you with the right structure, you've made 30% growth more than the other person. 1% per year. But that's not where the magic is. When you take that 1% per year and you do the cumulative growth, you've made 90% more than the other person. They can't understand. They get to retirement at the same age as you, but they've got less money. They can't understand it just because you've used a better structure. Yo, now I've gone on a rant. I hope that helps. All the best. Let's see what is next year. Gift and Lee and V and Enrico and everybody. Whoa, lots of people joined tonight. Not many people have asked any questions. I have gone on a rant, so let's see where we are now. Sorry folks, just trying to find the next one. I went on such a what can we call it? Soapbox exercise that I've completely lost where I am and supposed to be. And tonight is a difficult one. There's so many people joins and then leaves. Okay, I think I've got where I was. I reckon in a second or two, I'll be able to look at the next person's question and be able to, okay. Adrian has joined and he hasn't sent gifts for a while. Adrian, send gifts to China. I don't know what it's going to do, but send it. Okay, Enlightened Spirit says, you need a mod for your life so the mod can help you. Enlightened Spirit, so do me a favor, brother or sister. In my profile is my WhatsApp number. Contact me, help me with stuff like this. I am good when it comes to financial advice and investments, but I'm not the most technologically advanced person in life. So I take any help from anybody. Okay? I would appreciate it. Let's see who's next. To make someone a mod, you click. Okay, I'm not going to go there now. There's no time for that. A says, tax-free savings account, better to have a fund that invests offshore instead of South African companies. Opinion, please, Cornell. So in terms of tax-free savings accounts, unit trusts, life investments, living annuities, etc., etc. My personal opinion is, in terms of your investment spread, depending on how much risk you can and cannot take, you should be spread about 70% international, 30% local. And that spread changes depending on the amount of risk that you can or cannot take. Okay, so there is no correct 100%, this is for you, this is for everybody's situation. The spread is dependent on your risk profile. So if you say better to have a fund that invests offshore instead of South African companies, opinion, yes. The one thing I can tell you is everybody, doesn't matter whether you are the most aggressive investor or the most conservative investor or anything in between, everybody should have international exposure. There's no two ways about it. What and how much your exposure is will depend on your risk profile. And the most amount of people, the majority of people, can actually be invested very aggressively. We have this thing in our minds, and unfortunately I think it's been sold to us, that if you are 55 years or older, you have to be invested conservatively. It's not true. Investment says that if you have a very short period of time, 0 to 3 years, that you invest your money for, you have to be invested conservatively. That means a bank account where you know what I put in is what I'm going to get out, plus some interest. A medium risk investment is somebody that's 3 years to 5 to 7 years, where I want to put in some money, get a bit more than inflation, but also not risk too much on my investment. A high risk investor is somebody that's 5 to 7 years or longer. And therefore, I know that I am going to get some return on my money, but because I've got such a long investment term that's ahead of me, I can't take the risk because the markets will move up and down, and I can wait just a little bit if it's not working within the short period of time and get it over a long period of time. And the thing is that if you retire at the age of 55 or even 65, you've got anything between 25 and 15 years as an investment horizon to the age of 80, what is expected to be your I am going to die age now. So because of that, you've got 15 to 25 years of investment. So why would you be investing conservatively into something very safe when you have been investing or could have been investing more aggressively over the years? And this is what people don't understand, is that you don't have to become super conservative because you are older now. The investment rules, strategies, what's happened in the world, everything is still going to be the same. So still just follow the strategy. Personally, with my money, I am very aggressive with my investment funds. And I will not change it. And I am not going to change it until I hit 65, 70, maybe even 75. Then I'm going to worry about protecting it. And by that time, I might not even worry about protecting it because now it's time for me to croak off. Whatever happens to that money, my beneficiaries are going to get it. Maybe I went off on a bit of a rant, but I hope it explains what I'm trying to get across to you. B1 it's so Blitz says, what percentage would you as a financial advisor take? Oh, Blitz. How much do I give you? How much info do I give you? How much value do I give you? That's the question. So it's very simple. In our life, we can take, as financial advisors, depending on the type of investment, we can take anything between 0 and 3.5% as an upfront commission. Then we can take anything between 0 and 1% as an ongoing trail fee. And then there's other products where we can only take between 0 and 1.7% as an upfront, and once again 0 to 1% as an upfront, as a trail fee. So what I normally do is I sit down and I discuss this and I negotiate this with my clients. And I ask them, this is the parameters. These are the parameters that I can choose to take a commission or a fee. What are you willing to pay me in terms of those fees to give you this advice? And you know what, Blitz? 9 out of 10 times, people are willing to offer me more than what I normally take as my standard fee. So that's all I'm going to say. I feel that I take a reasonable amount, but I do know, and I can tell you with unequivocally, that 9 out of 10 times, people offer me more than what I ask for. You decide, mate. You decide. Where are we? Oh, goodness gracious. We have skipped over 110 messages or something like that again. Sorry, folks. I know I have to run back here, but this is just how it happens on TikTok Live. One day when I'm big, I'll figure out how to do these things more effectively. What percentage? Okay, Blitz, we've just been there. Okay, let's see who's next. Hang on tight. Okay, Mr. HS. Ek wil weet of PA se fees minder is as Marcussen. Those champs on Mr. H, Marcius, as you know, is my son. Stepson, it is my son. And they have a different fee structure to us. I'm not even going to try and explain it. It's one of those things that's just too technical to explain in a session like this. And whatever their fees is, I don't care. They've got different products. They've got different portfolios. They've got a different approach. And you have to accept that my son is much more aggressive in his approach than what I am. I am more conservative. Call it old school if you want. It's just the way it is. At the end of the day, we both offer quality products. It just depends from person to person on what will work for you. Okay. Let's see who's next year. Mr. HS, interesting enough, young people usually go for aggressive funds. Mr. H, you will be surprised when I talk to young people. I'm often surprised at how I have to convince them to go into aggressive funds. It is one of those things that baffles my mind. Young people that wants to be so conservative. So no, it's not often. There is always a portion of the population, and that's not necessarily just young people. There's a portion of the population that wants to be very aggressive. But it's also, in my opinion, the portion of the population who doesn't do their homework. They just hear about something that's great and that's making lots of money, and then they want to go into it, and they don't even consider the possibility that where they are going into might be a failure. So that's the one thing that scares me always about people that wants to go aggressive. But no, it's not just young people, just by the way. People are scared in this country at retirement to look at aggressive vote. Yes, Mr. H, that's 100% correct. People are scared to look at aggressive. It is because, really, it is my opinion, it's because aggressive, conservative, and medium risk has not been properly explained to people. Now, this is the thing. I, as a financial advisor, at the moment, I've got 62,000 followers. So I keep on promoting this, I keep on telling people about this, but I'm telling this to 62,000 people in South Africa. And if I make a video for those people, it's 2,000 or 3,000 people who looks at that video and that will maybe buy into what I'm telling them, accept it, whatever. But we sit in a country with what I think we're 65 or 85 million people. So I'm reaching such a small percentage of people with my opinion about risk. And then, unfortunately, if you go and look at the comments that I get in my TikTok feed, there are some people that are absolutely, completely and utterly ridiculous with what they say. And I think that's the big problem, is some people, and I count myself as some people, try and help people to make better decisions, make better choices. But then there are other people that just don't really care. They don't give a shit. They just say whatever they want. And people listen to them. And that creates that people do the wrong things. So yeah, what can I say? Okay, let's go to the next one. Who's next? Mr. H again, access range funds are great. Really worked for me so far. Good, I'm glad to hear that. That's fantastic. Mr. H seems like a derivative portfolio. Yes, that is what my son has, is a derivative portfolio, and I'm happy for them. If they want to do that, that is their Ndaba. Let's see who's next. Oh, there we skipped about 110 again. Let me just find where I was last, folks. Just hang on tight. Just a second. I'm almost there. Yeah, that's true. It's been a very interesting night with the amount of people that's joined and left, and then the amount of people that's asked questions and then moved on. It's really been an interesting night. Hendrik de Beer says, dankie vir die weeklikse professionele advies. Plezier Hendrik. Aftrede na 55, moet ek die inderdaad cash neem of net 550 tax free? So Hendrik, I'm going to switch to English here because the majority of people are English. There is no right or wrong answer in terms of take the full 1/3 or take 550,000 cash. At the end of the day, it depends on how big your pension fund money is. It depends on how much you need in terms of cash. It depends on how much tax you're willing to pay at retirement. It depends on how much money you need as an emergency fund. It depends on how much you're willing to pay now. It depends on your financial dependents, whether they should receive an income after your passing away or not. So there is so many questions that needs to be answered. And one of those things is, after all of these things have been taken into consideration, then there's the tax implications. How much tax will I pay on 550? How much tax will I pay on 1/3? If I take only 550, how much tax am I going to pay on the full income versus if I take 1/3 and pay the tax, how much tax will I then pay on the 2/3? There is so many calculations and equations. And I know that when we as financial advisors take people's information and we tell them this, they reckon, you see, this oak's going to do one or two sums and it's over and done with. There's really so many different variables that can be taken into consideration. So Hendrik, what I'm trying to say to you, sir, is it's impossible, absolutely impossible for me to tell you whether it is better to take just 1/3 in cash or 550,000 Rand as tax-free. The only way that I can give you an objective and correct advice, feedback, option, whatever you want to call it, is if I consult with you so that I can understand your personal situation. Once I understand your personal situation, then only can I do what I need to do and give you proper advice. Let's see who's next year. Yo! Once again, hundreds of people coming in, hundreds of people leaving. I can't decide whether I should be happy or upset. Frank says, hi Corey, what is your opinion with easy equities and retirement annuity? Frank's, my personal opinion is with regards to easy equities, I don't have a problem with that platform. The nice thing about the platform is you can do what you want to do. You can do it as you want to do it. The only thing with regards to the platform is they don't give you advice. So whatever decision you make, you have to make the decision in your personal capacity. You cannot take or keep anybody responsible for whatever decision you make. So there's no problem for me with regards to easy equities. At the end of the day, their retirement annuity has to be Reg 28 compliant. So they have to make sure that you cannot invest in more equities than what the law applies, etc., etc. But I have no problem with that. My thing always is with easy equities and any other platform where people can do investments directly is great, do it yourself. If you think you're going to save yourself money, great, fantastic, because that's why people do it. People think, I'm saving cost, and because I'm saving cost, I'm getting a better return. Whoopee! At the end of the day, you can save yourself as much cost as you want. If you make the wrong decision, because you have not taken into consideration what risk you should take, what your tax implications, etc., 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 then you would be shooting yourself in the foot. It's as easy as that. So go for it, do it, no problem. But if you want to know whether you are making the right investment choice based on your personal circumstances, your tax situation, your growth, your aggressiveness, what you can and cannot, then you have to speak to a financial advisor. Somebody that actually understands and knows their shit. So that's the bottom line. Sorry, did I just say know their shit? Didn't mean it like that. Let's see where we are. Yes, once again. I'm just trying to get to the last question again so that I can tell you to go to the next person. I don't want to skip somebody. And it happens. There we go. Okay, there was Frank's question about retirement annuities. What is a derivative portfolio? A says, what is a derivative portfolio? So a derivative portfolio is where you compete currencies. So you buy money in rands, you buy currency in rands and you sell it in dollar. Or you buy in dollar and you sell it in pounds. Or you buy in pounds and you sell it in yen. And those derivatives is as it moves up and down. So today the rand is, let's call it 20 rand to the dollar. So you buy 100,000 rands at 20 rand to the dollar, and tomorrow the rand is 22 rand to the dollar. So then you sell it at 22 rand to the dollar, and you've made a profit. And that is as easy as that. That's a derivative portfolio. And yeah, you just have to have the guts to play in that space. I am not. I do not have that guts. I want to sleep easy every night. Frank says, Enlightened Spirits, goeie vraag. Ek het Ukhanludar. Okay, I don't know which one that was, so I'm going to have to skip that one. I do apologize, folks. I wasn't sure about what you were talking about. D. Evening. How long does GPF take to pay funeral benefit after submitting all docs? So D, I cannot tell you. They're supposed to be able to pay out within 48 hours. That's what they're supposed to be doing. But you know what? There's always external circumstances that can influence these payments. So strictly speaking, they should be able to pay out within 48 hours, but it's not always possible or true. And therefore, D, I honestly can't tell you how long they take. Let's see who's next. Jody and Jonathan and Vimpy and Marku, and welcome everybody. Frakes, how's it, bud? Rowan Carolus, how's it, Rowan Carolus? What are you doing? You should be making videos, mate. If you wonder who I'm referring to when I'm talking about Rowan Carolus is one of my advisors. He is one of the sharpest tools in the shed. And if you want any advice on GPF, you contact Rowan Carolus. Go and search him, go and check his videos. That oak knows everything and more about GPF. He knows more about GPF than what I know. That oak is sharp. Just by the way. Let's see who and what is next year. Bumpy, Alcart, and Zal, Alan Shearer. Sure, I haven't seen this guy. Rowan, invite, Mark, joined. Just trying to find the next one, folks. Okay, Sherrod says, D, I only waited 3 days when my wife passed 3 years back. Okay, so that was on the GPF exercise. Yo, folks, there's so many people who's joined and left. I think I'm going to go to bed early tonight. Okay, D says, as a beneficiary of the deceased GPF member, after submitting all docs, what's the turnaround? D, I wish I knew. Because you know what? I am not an admin specialist. I cannot tell you. But I would say, D, and this is my personal opinion, 4 to 6 weeks should be about tops. Now, remember, we are working with GPF. And GPF is unfortunately a state institution, and state institutions, unfortunately, are sometimes very slow when it comes to their admin processes. So D, I would say 4 to 6 weeks, stretch it to 8, and then start screaming and shouting and jumping up and down. That's my personal opinion. Next one. Oh. Okay, let's see who is next. We're getting to the end of the evening, folks. So let's see if I can answer one or two more. Tamsin says, what are your thoughts on African Bank's 12.8%? Tamsin, my honest opinion is I don't care who offers 12.8%. When it comes to a bank, it's always crappy. That's my opinion. Look, 12.8% is wonderful for somebody that has a small amount in a bank investment and gets that 12.8% because they're getting a very good interest on the investment. And because it's a small amount, they're getting good money, but they won't pay tax on it. But if you have a lot of money invested into an investment like that and you get your 12.8%, now you have to pay tax on it, you end up walking away with 11, 10, 10.5. Then suddenly it's not so good anymore. So my thoughts is that I think everybody should go and look at what the T's and C's are with African Bank when they invest. Because I have a feeling that they are going to ask for a lot of money and they want you to invest it for a long time in order to give you this 12.8%. I don't think somebody that's got a small amount of money, say 100,000 Rand, wants to invest it on a month-to-month basis is going to get this. These guys are going to make sure that they lock you in for a long time that makes it worth their while to give you that 12.8%. And then, of course, you're going to have to pay the tax. So, personally, Tamsin, not the biggest fan. Okay, D says, thanks for answering. Much appreciated. Appreciate your last. Thank you very much, D. I appreciate your feedback. Jody D, I'm reading on investment accounts. I'm reading on Investec accounts. Is there anything you say about Investec in terms of benefits? Investec is a great company. Investec, as a matter of fact, has changed the name to 91, and Investec has always been a great company. They're one of the few investment houses that is also a bank. So they are good. I don't make use of a lot of their portfolios, but their portfolios are good. So that's my thoughts. It's a good company. They've got good portfolios. They've got good products. If you are with them, you're good. All the best. Good evening. Is there any truth that the government wants to raise the retirement age to 67 years? Hello? No, that's just bullshit. Pardon my French, that's the straightforward answer. Government wants to raise the retirement age to 67. It is pure bullshit. Retirement age is 55. Depending on which company you're with, government institution, whatever, there are set retirement ages that could be older than 55. But you as an individual can choose to retire earlier than the age of 60 or 65 or whatever the case might be. So, no, there is no truth in this. It is just social media, people, I don't know, wanting to be heard, I suppose. Let's see. Oh, shucks. Folks, it is just about time for us to call it a night. I just want to see. It seems like I've been through that and that and that. I'm just checking the messages quickly to make sure that I didn't miss anybody. But it seems like I have. Tamsin says, I also thought there was a catch to it. Tamsin, there was no catch. Luther says very expensive. Don't know what you're talking about, Luther, but so weird. Basically, long and short, seems like I've been I have actually made it through this week's Q&A and answered everybody. Seems like it. Why government people don't all retire? I don't know. As long as they retire at 65 or 60, sorry, I'm happy. Ladies and gentlemen, it has been fun as per usual. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed your company. Thank you for the questions. I enjoyed tonight. It is now 7 o'clock. And Kumi says, wait, hang on. Just a second here. And Kumi says, the truth that when a person... Okay. And Kumi, I'll answer this one last question and I'm going. Is it truth that when a person is over 60 and still working, she will be paid from the GPF? Yes. And Kumi, if you are 60 and you retire from the GPF and you start receiving your pension and then you move to a different company and you earn an income, you will always receive your income as well as your GPF. Absolutely. Okay. I'm 50 years and I have 7 million. Can I retire at 55? HOZ, send me a message on my WhatsApp and I'll try and answer you. Can't do it like this. Why am I doing this? I'm supposed to say goodbye. Quick one. What do you think about investing in property for the purposes of retirement, return on investment? Andile, I don't like property, mate. You can go and check some of my videos. I do not like property. I've seen too many people go bankrupt because of property that I just do not like it. So my personal opinion is there's lots of people that makes big money when it comes to property, but I will not invest in property. I'm sorry. Okay, folks, that's it. If I keep on scrolling, you will keep on asking questions. I'll be stuck here until 10 o'clock tonight. Have a wonderful evening. It was lovely chatting to all of you, and I'll see you next week. All the best. Bye-bye. All the best. Bye-bye. All the best. Bye-bye.